So this is Prelab question 1, and this one what you can do is 1.667, and for VB it's 3.33 volts. For question 2, the error in the processing code was that in the Swiss token line, they use /t instead of a comma because in the Arduino code it's a comma. In question 3, this code will plot a circle with a radius of 5 pixels because the 10 represents the width and the height of the circle. So the diameter is 10, the radius is half of that, which is 5. This is exercise 1, Etch-a-Sketch, and I have my circuit set up here, and the input is going to 4 and 5, and this is the example code. So answering this question, exercise 1, the minimum value is 0, as you can see in the serial monitor, because the knobs are turned fully counterclockwise. And the maximum value, as you can see here, is 1023 for both the knobs when it's turned fully clockwise. So the values range from 0 to 1023, and they represent between 0 volts to 5 volts at max. This is because the Arduino has a 10-bit ADC, so 2 to 10 is 1024, so that includes 0 to 1023. So for question 1, what happens is, when you run the two runs at the same time, the potentiometer that is connected to pin 4 moves the ellipse horizontally, and the potentiometer that's connected to pin 5 moves it vertically. You can see right here that this is going to move horizontally. At pin 4, if I turn the pin 5 on, it's going to move up and down. And if I move them at the same time, you can see it creates a diagonal line. So this is question 2, and to make it blue, you can see I changed the value right here. Before the red was 255, now it's 0, now the blue is 255. And then down in that same code, I changed the function to a rectangle with a height of 6 and 6. And you can see on the output screen, now these are rectangles that are blue. So this is question 3, and before I explain what I did, I'm just going to let you know that from the first question to the third, I just changed the size from 6 to 20 because it's easier to see. So since it's 20 width and height, that means the radius is 10, and we want to be restrained from the screen. So I set the x between 10 and 502, subtracting 10 from 512 and adding 10 from 0, and same thing for the y. And you can see the output is restrained to the screen. It touches that edge and stops. So for question 4, I read how the fill must change across the window. Then the thing I changed in my code was I commented out that fill line above 000, so it won't affect it. But down here, the fill, I made it x times 255.0, so it's a float, so they recast into floats. And the second value, it's x times again, and the last value is y times again. And then I messed around to make it look like the example, and this is what it looks like. So this is question 5, then you can see is the x is not active right now, and y is the function of the pot value, and x right here I'm incrementing, it's a function of time. I'm just incrementing by 5. If it's more than 512, it'll go back to 0 and restart the background again, and the size will be the same, and the fill will still be blue. So you can see here, actually the function of time, and if I change the pot value using the potentiometer, you can see it moves, and then it'll restart. To have the 50-second delay, what you do is you go in the Arduino code and set the delay here at 50, so the inputs are receiving at 50 milliseconds. So this is question 2, Gamepad, and I have my circuit right here, the 4 pins. This one represents right, this one represents left, this one represents up, and this one represents down, and they're connected to the Arduino using 3, 4, 5, and 6. This is the Arduino code for that, so I wrote right here, right, left, up, and down as 0 at first. I define the pin modes 3, 4, 5, 6 as inputs. Then I read in the values depending on if it's on ground or 5 volts for each one right here. Then it makes the string right there. And I had the delay set to 100, so it's slow on the Gamepad compared to 50. This is my processing code. I basically modified the example code, so the import processing serial my port is the same. And then when it starts to change here, when I upload the maze image, so I have the PI image, IMG, and then when it loads the image, I resize it, and then make that the background. So here int x and y define the start place for the circle, and move defines how many pixels it's going to move every time it reads in the values. And then I define my array right here, right, left, up, and down. The right is the first, left is 1, up is 2, and down is 3. So this is a section of the code which defines how the circle moves in the Gamepad. This is what one complete route looks like. You can see that here it starts down here because we defined it. This is the spot x equals 15, y equals 507, and it goes all the way up. And then at the top, you can see it's bouncing up and down because in our code we wrote that it can't be more than 0. If it is, y will equal 5. So I'll show you how this works. If I want to move right, I'm going to plug the right pin from ground, which is ground, and I'll move it to 5 volts and back to ground. Then if I want to go up, I'll move the up pin to 5 volts, and